Hey gaming fans, so today's another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and this one is for, well, this is also common charity. I've been building a lot of these common charity decks. I've been having fun with this format. I still have other decks I want to build too, some more GOAT formats, and I really do need to build some more Edison decks, but I just thought I'm having fun with this. Let's just keep going. So this is Empty Jar. So I pretty much tried to find every single common I had to make this work. There is one card that is going to be missing from this deck, and it is Morphing Jar number 2. Now, I believe there is a common version of it. I just don't have it. I think it's kind of comes from one of those sets where it's like uncommon or something, or the set's not really, whatever. But I don't know, like I said before, I don't know the rulings on this. I don't know if you're allowed to use any other version of a card just as long as it exists as a common. But if that's the case, then this makes it a lot easier to do. But anyways, let's get to the build. So obviously we're going to play Morphing Jar as our first card. This is your go-to card. This is what's going to deck your opponent out and refill your hand, which is important because you need to keep your hand up, or else you're not going to be able to do much. So Morphing Jar is your go-to card. So I put a few cards in here to make sure you get this guy out. Then we're going to play 3 of the Needleworms, obviously. The other card that helps to deck your opponent out. So this is like when it flips, it just sends the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. So this is kind of in there. It's just kind of a secondary thing. You could use this guy as well instead of Morphing Jar. It's just you're not going to replenish your hand, which is a problem. So to address the fact that we only have the one Morphing Jar, I put in 3 Witch of the Black Forest. So you're going to just set her or summon her or whatever, ram her into a monster, get that Morphing Jar into your hand as fast as possible. So that's the only reason why she's in here. I mean, afterwards you can grab your Needleworms if you need to, or some of the other cards that I also included. So I put in 2 Mathematician, kind of the same idea. So when this card is summoned, you can, normal summon, you could send a level 4 or lower monster from your deck to your graveyard. So in this case, you can also send your Morphing Jar or Needleworm or whatever to retrieve it from the graveyard. So there's also other cards you might want to pitch in there because we also have a few cards that we want in the graveyard, like AD Changer. So this, basically once it's in the graveyard, you can remove it from play and then select one monster on the field and change its battle position. So if you have your Needleworm or your Morphing Jar face down, you can banish him from the graveyard to flip him face up, and then you'll get his effect off. So you really want to get these into the graveyard as fast as possible. And then we got 3 Swift Scarecrow. I just figured just find some cards that'll just extend your life. Say you're not ready yet, maybe you just summon the Witch of the Black Forest in attack mode and then you just wait. At least have a Scarecrow in your hand to end your opponent's battle phase in case they go all crazy on you. And then the final monster we have Electromagnetic Turtle. Same thing as kind of your AD Changer. You want to get this into the graveyard. It does have a nice 1800 defense, but during your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard to end the battle phase. Unfortunately, you can only use one of these guys per duel, but that's fine. So you only play the one in your deck. Now onto the spells. So I put one Day of Peace. It's too bad this card is only at 1, but it is. So each player draws a card, and then neither player takes damage till the end of the opponent's next turn. So another card to just keep you alive while you're trying to mill out your opponent's deck. Card Destruction, another classic card. Obviously discard the hands, draw 5 new, or whatever's in your hand, not 5 new cards. But if you open up with this card, you can pitch it, and then everybody's got a draw. Dark World Dealings, I put in 2. This is a nice, I was thinking of the hand destruction instead. The thing I like about Dark World Dealings is you don't worry about your opponent's hand as much. So if your opponent, say, sets everything and doesn't have a hand, you could still activate Dark World Dealings, but with the other one, you both need to have 2 cards in your hand to discard to even activate it. So this one can always be on, so that's kind of why I went with that one. 3 Shallow Grave. Like I was saying in the beginning, these are the rare version, so I don't know if it really matters, but it is a common, so I just put the 2 rare because I couldn't find any more commons anywhere. I think I probably have them buried somewhere in my collection. But anyways, we got 3 Shallow Grave. Again, with your see there, your Mathematician. If you pitch your Needleworms or your Morphing Jar into the graveyard, then you play the Shallow Grave. Also, you want to try and use Dark World Dealings or Card Destruction to try and get monsters out of your opponent's hand. But there's also a few other cards that that'll work, because both players have to have a monster in the graveyard for you to. Each player has to special summon one in face down defense position. Then we got Book of Eclipse, a really good card that's also going to potentially keep you alive as well. It's going to flip all face down monsters on the field to face down defense position. Obviously, it's not going to do anything if they have link monsters, so that's a problem. But other than that, you flip them all face down, and then at the end of the turn, your opponent flips them all face up and draws a card for each. So you're going to start making them draw cards, which is good. Not to mention, you can flip your Cyber Jar, or not Cyber Jar, your Morphing Jar. I wish we had Cyber Jar. That'd be awesome. But okay, so we got 3 Book of Moon, same idea, just a little bit different than the Book of Eclipse, only being 1 monster. But still, you can target your own monster, or you can kind of like save your neck as well to you know, stop your opponent's plays. And then another important card, just like the AD Changer, Book of Tayu. So literally turn 1, you can set that Morphing Jar and then activate Book of Tayu to flip it face up. You would probably want to set whatever spells and traps you have in your hand to make sure you don't discard them, but you know, you'll get your combo going faster. And for the traps, we got 2 side effects. This is kind of an interesting one. It kind of keeps you alive, and it kind of gets your opponent to draw cards. So your opponent gets to choose 1 to 3, and then they draw that many cards, and then you gain 200 life points for each card they draw. So if they choose 3, you're getting 6,000 life points, which is really cool. Probably, though, if your opponent knows what you're up to, they might only pick 1 or 2, but either way, you're going to get some life points to help you stay alive. And then we got 3 of the Present cards. Really cool card. Your opponent discards their entire hand, then draws 5 cards. Use that in conjunction with your side effects, and they can pretty much discard like potentially 8 or 9 cards out of their hand, depending on how many cards they had in their hand to begin with. And then they would have to draw their 5, so be really cool. Then we have 3 Threatening Roar, just to try and keep you alive. You know, you can swap that out with whatever you want. It could be Wabaku, it could be a negation card, or whatever. I'm just trying to keep life points, so I don't want to use like Solemn Warnings or, you know, any of the solemn cards that take your life away. But it's up to you and your play style. But anyways, yeah, this is the common charity version of my deck out, my empty jar deck, I guess you want to call it. And like I said, you could play Morphing Jar number 2 in here, because he was printed as a common. It's just I don't think I have one, and you know, if you have one, why not? Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. I always like to hear what you have to say, and we'll talk to you later.